Thank you.
Yep.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order, which will be the agenda on first. It's the Livingston County Industrial Development Agency. We've got roll, communications, approval of minutes. The minutes have been pre-distributed. I've read them. I didn't see anything, but I'm not the world's best speller, so.
Out of that.
If anybody got any comments on the minutes? If not, second. All in favor? Aye. Unfinished business?
Let me just throw in a financial report here. You do have a financial report in your packet for IDA. Apologize, it's a little bit small, but we're kind of tweaking the format of this. I'd like to show you month, year to date, and then year to date against budget. So that's why it's got quite a bit of information on it. I feel like that's kind of the pertinent information that you should have. So we're trying to get it so the QuickBooks can deliver this, and Maureen and I are a little bit stumped, so we're still playing with it. But nonetheless, April for IDA, you're looking at, we didn't have any income. We're looking at a pretty strong month in May, so that should reverse trend this month. But under expenses, pretty straightforward under the operating expenses. We did have some engineering expenses with Gateway Agribusiness and some legal fees, but beyond that, we're in pretty good shape. Took a loss for the month, of course, but again, do expect that to shift in May with closure on the property in Mansville and some other fees on the world. We're pretty good shape.
Okay, if there's no questions on this, I entertain a motion to approve this report. Second? Second. All in favor?
Thank you. The unfinished business, we're working with Erica. She's got White Creek, I think, on the printer as we speak.
Yeah,
And
it should be finalized today.
Perfect. Jaycox as well, that one, I know the company has been knocking on the door for that.
Yeah.
Blue Heron we got, so we're peeling away at this list. That's excellent. Thank you very much for your diligence on this.
And White Creek is in full force.
Yeah, they're going strong. So no action on unfinished business.
New business?
New business, New York Dansville One LLC. You should have a packet that starts with minutes of the public hearing. I stapled it all so it was all together. We've got 3 action items here. First is a review of the public hearing and approval of those minutes. Second is the required statement of compliance, and the third is the authorizing resolution. So if you'll allow me, I'll start with the minutes of the hearing. I actually goofed and printed. When it says publisher, I put in the Batavia Daily News because it publishes the Livingston County News as well. And unfortunately, it put it in the Batavia paper. So on March 31st, I was the only one at a public hearing in Dansville. We actually printed another hearing notice for the LCN, and we held one on April 14th, which was well attended. Bill and I were there. A lot of the comments, you can see the sign-in sheet is behind that. Those were the speakers. A lot of the comments, quite frankly, in this quick recap page, which summarizes where most of them were really on siting, location, approval. All that's been done. That was the village that took care of all of that. The ZBA had to issue the special use permit. Unfortunately, you know the sordid history of this, that it did end up in court because the ZBA issued a negative declaration saying the project has little to no impact, but then denied the special use permit, which is kind of in stark contrast with each other. So the courts got into it, and that's where they flipped it and said you kind of have to approve the project if you declare the negative declaration. So project's approved. It complies with the solar law that Dansville put in place, the setbacks and you name it. The law required that the project has to go in a light industrial zone and has to be issued a special use permit from the ZBA. So both of those milestones have been achieved. The one comment that I thought was kind of relevant was, some of these pilot amounts historically have gotten as high as $8,000 a megawatt. Well, those were back in 17, 18, and 19 when the state was really heavily incentivizing these. There were a lot of different credits and programs that made the business model much more robust than it does now. Those have all since expired. I am confident with my 5,500 number. I've been through this 6 ways to Sunday. I feel, in fact, there's a couple of our area counterparts have put this in writing and policy. We do not have it in policy. but it will. Give me 2 seconds here. Erie County, they go between 4,500 and 5,000. Niagara County is 4,000. Lancaster is 4,000. Genesee has gotten as high as 6,000, and they're shutting off their solar, according to what the director's telling me over there. They've got enough of it. Tompkins gets 4,200, and I'm proposing 5,500. So I feel very comfortable with where we are. That's where the market is around here. That's what we've gotten with all of our other projects historically. So again, I also did reach out to a fellow by the name of Dwight Kanyuk. I don't know, Erica, if you know him. Dwight's kind of the solar guy. He's got Lester. Have you ever worked with him, Dave? No. He's got Lester in New York, I know. So we've worked with him on White Creek and Caledonia. Dwight says he is not seeing 8,000 anywhere in this neighborhood. He said 55 is right in the ballpark. So anyway, I feel very comfortable with where we are. That was the one comment that came up that I felt could do some digging into. So behind that, Bill, any other comments from the hearing that night?
No, it's the main idea is just challenging how much we charge.
Okay. It was video, so if you want to see, it's on our website. The video of it, it lasted about an hour. We called it at 7 and then we called it at 8. So people got a chance to speak.
I have a question.
Yeah.
We own the property.
We currently own the property.
Do we have any other solar projects, or this is the only
This is the only one.
one? Okay.
You mean that we have,
The IDA, like, cause that, like, from obviously, I mean, people are hearing, like, that's the other piece, it's like, we own it.
we own the property. How it kind of started was they called us, when they see title of clear land, they tend to call. I get a call on Livingston Industrial Complex all the time because there's a giant swap land. We own
Right.
this one we own, so they said we'd like to develop solar there. We took them to the village board in January, I think it was, of 2021, and said to the village board, would you be interested in pursuing this? They said yes, but we don't have a solar law. So they declared a moratorium, wrote a solar law, knowing that this was kind of waiting in the wings. And they applied after the law was passed unanimously by the village board in May of 2022.
Right, cause I guess I'm just like, as far as public outcry, I mean, this has been the biggest, right, for any.
Caledonia was pretty big.
But that was a private. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, the biggest was really that project because Rush.
Yeah.
And they actually backed out of Rush.
Yeah, right, because that's what I guess I'm just like, is it worth it? I mean, if there's.
For me, it is, yeah. I mean, it adds to the tax base, which is critical. That property's been in our hands for over 35 years, generating zero taxes for the community. Every time I try and market it, we've struck out.
Yeah.
We don't have the proximity to the highway that folks need when they stand down there with me. They look around and go, how do I get my trucks out of here?
Right.
You know, where am I? That investment, I think, would be better served across town at exit 4 at Pogues Hole, which, you know, we're working with the county to see if there's something that we can do out there to develop that. And it would be much better. What it's going to generate is tax money.
Yeah.
It really hasn't been there.
And is there any, I guess, ramifications for us putting it out to see if there's somebody else, like, you know, if people are this upset, then someone else buy it?
Well, we're under contract first.
Yeah.
So we have a contract with the company to sell it. We've already approved that. In fact, they wanted to close last fall and.
Right, but I mean, people back on, I don't mean to make quick light of it, but people back out of those.
Yeah, I don't see us doing that at this point.
Yeah.
The village put a solar law in place that was approved.
Right.
The fact that, you know, there's a couple of neighbors that are mad about it, there's always going to be.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of I think they would argue anything down there, quite honestly, because they want a farm field, and it's not a farm field, it's an industrial field.
Right.
That's zoned industrially. The village knew what they were doing when they passed the law because this was all disclosed, and they chose to pursue it.
Yeah.
So the fact that, you know, we have been sort of named as the bad guy.
Yeah, right, and I just like want to understand, because I obviously just want to understand like where we're. what the options are.
Question came up that night, would I promise that solar doesn't go across the street? And I fumbled it a little bit at that time, but thinking about it afterwards, I can promise you that solar won't go across the street because that's in Sparta and Sparta voted no solar.
Correct.
So, I mean, if D'Angelo had done that, we wouldn't be talking about this right now.
Right. And I guess my opinion is totally different. Obviously, it's a private person like that's their prerogative. I just,
Yes and no. I mean, if we hadn't had that property for as long as we've had it, I might be willing to say, let's take a longer swing at trying to market it.
yeah.
It's been there for, I mean, it predates me, but it goes back to the early nineties when it was acquired.
And people knew it was for sale.
It's out there, yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody was bringing in. The other side, they had a lot of different interests, but on that side, my opinion.
And
Weird spot.
you can see what's resulted on the other side is basically GCC, which is now
Yeah.
Noise, and I think there's a ballet studio upstairs in the other building.
Like pond place?
The pond, upstate
Okay.
pond, upstate remediation, whatever it is. So,
Interesting.
and we just have not been able to get anything there.
And I think that the money would be well used on exit 4.
Yeah, that's the idea, is
We've
we
got
love to
everything
invest in it.
there, 1,000 feet from the sewer, 1,500.
You'd be a very good guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta go to frontage road.
And then that's set to go up 44 acres.
40. We've made an offer into the county. We're just kind of making sure that everything's, whatever process needs to be followed with the county to just close it is followed. So, we're talking through that process, but as you know, we've already got a project interested in exit 4, so that's kind of waiting in the wings, as well as I'd love to be able to market the additional piece of it. I just don't have it yet. So. The statement of compliance is in here. I know that this is a little bit odd in that, when we work with a solar project, it's different than offering a pilot as incentive. This is a pilot that garners tax revenue as opposed to giving us an incentive on this, but we do go through this anyway, and I have filled out the description and the criteria. Any discussion points that you want me to put in here, please feel free to let me know as we go through it. But the first part is the description. The first criteria is that the project pledges to pay and bring good paying jobs to the county. These are indirect jobs. It'll be 15 to 25. After that, there might be 1 or 2 that does some landscaping and or cleaning off the panels, but it is not a huge job creator. Solar just does not do that.
Are they subject to the local? Like
Well-
being local labor, like at least reaching out to local contractors, because that's the other, that's just
This is,
salt in the wound.
this is not because it's not that project, but I can tell you that they have said that they are committed to that. It's not subject to it because it's less than a $10 million project.
Yeah, he was committed to sheep too. I don't see sheep going down there.
I haven't heard sheep,
Yeah,
but there's a new guy as well. I think
Okay.
the old guy had a kind of a rub with the community,
Hmm.
wasn't as good a communicator.
So there's no stipulation of a percentage that they have to use
Not under,
because of the dollar amount.
because of the dollar amount. That's what drives it.
and that's just us, that's not, because Kanita,
That's a state regulation, actually. But we could certainly set
because
something lower.
we have $3 million projects that in Monroe County that we have to
Sure.
check,
Sure.
so we could put something in place that would stipulate that.
Yeah, I would probably worry about that more with large scale. The smaller scale stuff are using union electricians. Yeah, they drain the halls in Mount Morris, I know that.
We brought everybody. They brought everybody in 3 states.
And they plan on, obviously, they're using a lot of local labor when it comes to the union. So that's, that's the first criteria. I've got, strange, the board concurrence is yes, that it doesn't create more jobs, but I'm willing to put some discussion points in here if you have any that you want to add in.
Wait, so we're currently yes.
We're currently a yes in that it will only create indirect jobs.
Okay, perfect.
Completion of the project will enhance long-term base and or make significant capital investment. Project aims to provide over $20,000 annually in property tax payments. Through the pilot and land taxes, the pilot will escalate at 2% per year, and the project is estimated at $7.3 million of total investment. That's a yes for me. It does increase the tax base in the community. Project will contribute towards creating a livable community by providing valuable product or service that is underserved in Livingston County. The shortage of locally generated power is creating the need to import from outside areas, causing significant increases in pricing and high utility bills. New York Dansville 1 will contribute to the power generated at this site to the NYSEG power grid, reducing the overall reliance on imported power. Now, granted, that's a lot bigger when I talked to Dave at 177 megawatts than when I talked to Dansville at 2.5 megawatts. But it still does go to the local grid. It still is power generated here for use by the local grid.
How is that tracked?
It's not.
It really can't be. I mean, you can't, you're talking about mixing electrons, which all you can say is that the grid needs 30,000 megawatts of power and 2.5 of which is generated in Dansville. When 29,000 megawatts is generated in New York and 1,000 comes from someplace else, no idea where it's coming.
That was a big issue with the wind.
Just the way the grid works. The board will review the agency's fiscal and economic impact analysis of the project. The cost benefit analysis illustrates that the package offered in New York Dansville 1 is on par with many of our other solar projects. The pilot schedule projects a break even in year 9, which basically means that the pilot and the assessment model sort of switch to where our pilot is generating more than the assessment model. So I have to say something about the assessment model, that it's brand new. So when I plotted this project on the assessment model, it changed assessments 3 times over the last 3 years. Big swings. So like 1.4 to 500 to 800. And I have settled on 800, which is the 26 model. The assessor is going to be required to run this annually to figure out where the assessment on this is so that they can charge special district taxes. The pilot provides some consistency to it, and it actually allows us to set this rate in the beginning as opposed to using the fluctuations of the model. There's a bit of controversy out there where opposers of the model will say, if the state's not meeting its goals, they may manipulate the model to show that it's going to be a lot less so that it incentivizes solar companies to develop, which is why we would advocate for the pilot as opposed to using the assessment model. My counterparts are doing the same thing.
And just changed again, didn't it?
It did just change again. Yep. Yeah, and if you want to take a look at it, feel free. It's a lot of the, there's some input fields in the Excel model. There's a bunch of them that are blacked out that you have no input toward, and then it spits out a number at the end. That's what the assessors are going to have to be using. It's just been ruled into law. It was litigated for a while. I want to say December. The court came back and ratified it as a valid model. Opposers have been in court for 2 years prior to that, trying to fight it, and did not. The model was developed by taxation and finance, which some would say that's the inmates running the asylum. Nonetheless, it's the best thing that we've got to go off of. So basically, what I'm telling you in this statement with where the pilot and the 575 model are, is that the pilot allows a larger contribution via tax revenues than the assessment model would provide them. Which might bring up another point. Do we look at this as a host community agreement instead of a pilot? I'm looking at the lawyers.
I would say on my end, I would say yes.
Okay.
That's just the way I ran mine, that's.
The difference would be that a pilot is formula based. Okay, so it's something that you could always compare it to. And if the state does by some chance say, you know, we're gonna value these things at basically scrap value or liquidation value, so your model's only worth $100,000. If I do that at full taxes, 3,000 a megawatt. Well, you wanted to charge 5,000, I terminate my pilot. In a host community agreement, you're actually in a contract with the jurisdictions to say, I will pay you this over 15 years. It's not based on any formula. So why Dave is saying he loves the host community agreement, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's a contract that says you will pay. There's no termination to it. That and it's outside tax revenues, which when it's big enough, you as supervisors know there's ways to be able to use that as opposed to being taxing income. So we could look at that. The company, quite honestly, today doesn't care whether they're paying it in a pilot or a host community agreement. We could definitely do that. And I would lean that, well, it would hold up through year 15 if it's in a host.
It's fine.
Right.
And now that the solar is a utility, you don't know where it's gonna be next year.
Right.
The value of that.
The state has already provided a full exemption on these if you don't require the pilot. They could take 15 years of zero. We require a pilot, so we are making them pay. If we switch this over from a pilot to a host, we can guarantee that that's a payment that we will receive, that jurisdictions will receive for 15 years. I throw that out there. Got Dave's opinion.
No brainer
Yeah,
nowadays.
I would think that that's an easy thing to write up. That we can, I mean, we're doing host community agreements for communities right now, and let's keep going and we'll come back to that. Project is included in one of the agency's strategic industries. It's not. Renewable power is a state strategic industry. It is not a local strategic industry. The project gives reasonable estimated timelines. Yes, it's likely that they will have that completed by year end. Will the project benefits exceed 30%? No, actually, the project benefits are 1.72% of the project. Very low. Mostly because this is not a benefited project. This is a project that we require go through the process with us. The last is the resolution approving the project. It does have the schedule at the very end, which is a schedule of tax payments. Now, we can switch that fairly easily to host as opposed to pilot, if that's your desire. But at this point in time, that would be the 5,500 per megawatt, 2.5 megawatts. Land is over and above this. Right now, land is estimated at, I think it's $6,300. So that would be in addition to the, say, 13,000, it would be 20 for a total tax bill off of that property today. That's a lot. Are there questions? How did I do, Dave? You've already looked at this.
Yeah, that's.
Because some of those were no though, then what happens when we change
It's
it?
just disclosed that way, that they are no. This doesn't necessarily change the project scope at all. It just answers how it is looked at.
Is there like a standard guideline we like follow, like it's supposed to be like 3 to 5 or?
Because this is a state, this is the project compliance is primarily used by the authority's budget office as a means of saying, are we extending benefits to a company that should not be extended benefits to? For example, a large big box retailer. You wouldn't do that. Because the state has already incentivized solar, ABO is already saying that that's not necessarily something that we wouldn't say is in compliance with you. So it's one of their targeted industries, not necessarily ours. We keep it a little more micro to meet our workforce, quite honestly. Solar's not that.
But how long do they expect power companies with the green energy? I mean,
It definitely does. That's where it all started, was the incentivizing renewable power and the CLCPA and everything
Yeah,
that New York
those are the
City.
ones that are paying for those, for our energy bill.
Some of it, yeah. A lot of it's imported power, provided we shut off before we turned on. But
we still all can.
Yeah.
States. I'm not a big proponent of solar and wind, but we're gonna live with it in the state of New York.
this is honestly a great way to reinvest the funds in Dansville.
Yeah, we'll keep funds there.
Put them in another location that's gonna work harder for us. If you want my nutshell opinion on it, that's it.
Is it prime?
Prime
I'm
soil.
not familiar. It is prime soil.
Yep.
And in the new law, they just changed from retirement prime soil.
Yeah, well, they've never abided by that guideline from the very beginning because they said that they wouldn't promote solar on prime farmland properties, and they've done the exact opposite.
See,
So,
this is where I struggle with it. It's prime soil, it's industrially zoned. So
well, when you said that, I was confused, I guess. So,
I forget when the zoning was changed. It was pre-me even on this board. I think it was back in the late nineties. They changed it to industrial. It became the Dansville Industrial Park, and it was designated by the master plan in the community for development. This was where new development was gonna go in the community. Didn't really take off. And I don't know what to tell you.
Avon, Mount Morris, Dansville, in probably 1991.
Yeah.
And that was that when it went, Jim?
The rezoning took place in the late nineties, I'm thinking, sometime after 97.
The industrial parks were established, I think, 92,
But
93.
I would have been rezoned when we got the idea, I would have started here before 97. And all that we done was not ever requested. That was all initiated by the
It
village.
was the towns, yeah.
Down the village. Down there.
That's where that
And
funding was at the
they
time.
wanted to get rid of the parcel, and they opened the IDA. Well, I mean, that was apparently based upon their management plan way back when. Their intention was basically to utilize that for industrial development. In fact, I think the covenants, there were covenants from the village, I think. There was a one time. The idea would really restricted what you could sell property for. And it basically wasn't gonna be for residential development, but retail development, but primarily covenants are in there to maintain some kind of large scale economic development projects. Plus some environmental covenants, like we're gonna get a paint factory down there, chemical factory, things like that. So, that's what I remember.
Right,
Don't
Yeah.
trust me.
I just struggling with that. I understand nobody's been interested in it, but like. I guess I just don't see the risk being rewarded. I mean, the taxes, what is it, 13,000 a year? That's,
20. It
you have
includes
to
land.
add,
You have to add the land in. But
okay,
Yeah, the land right now is not taxed.
yeah,
I think, from my perspective, that's easy to dismiss as 20 grand, but 20 grand in Dansville is a $700,000 house.
right.
We don't have that.
Oh, we do in Sparta,
Oh, well.
supposedly.
Yeah, Avon hasn't had any problem. How many has Avon got? 10, 5 megawatt solar projects, 8 or 10. Neighbors are living next to it. The farmers are bringing it up and putting it out there. So, I really feel like this is getting to be personal, whether
Yeah.
it's personal solar or not. This is an economic development project for a parcel that the Economic Development Agency owns that generates power. That's the way I gotta look at this. That's the way I do look at it. I don't think it detracts from the landscape. The ZBA obviously doesn't either, saying that they found this as a little to no impact. Community passed the solar law. The community has in their master plan that they want development at this end of town. As recently as 2008, they reaffirmed that in the updated master plan. So it's out there. I introduced this project to the village a long time ago.
Yeah,
5 years ago.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think it was when I first joined the planning
If
board.
they had voted it down, we're not having this discussion. They
Mhm.
didn't vote it down. They put it in place and they approved it.
Yeah,
The neighbors are mad about it. I can't do anything about that. The neighbors are gonna be mad the neighbors are still mad about a $250 million lettuce plant that was gonna go in Mount Morris. It would have been a huge economic boom.
Mhm.
And one neighbor said no to that, and that
Well,
was
great.
that.
I think my, I don't wanna make it, I think my argument would be less if it was a lettuce plant. If it was, like, this is something that like there's. Like, for me, there's like these litmus tests, like, okay, prime soil, not everybody appreciates that, I understand that. Jobs doesn't meet that, like, that's where I'm just struggling, like.
There were 2 people that approached me after the meeting that are in support of this project, but we're not gonna get up and speak.
Yeah.
You never hear from supporters, period. I've
Yeah,
never been to a public hearing where supporters show up and go, wait a second, I'm for this. They don't do that. They don't get up, especially when there's a crowd of people that are, angry. And the crowd of people, honestly, the guy across the street, the lady behind him, and, a couple of random people. It's just, I gotta discount that. I gotta discount all the social media garbage, because that's what's out there. A whole lot of folks that don't understand, what this necessarily means. Talk to people with solar panels on their house. You know what they're gonna tell you? I pay $10 a month. It's the greatest thing
Right,
I've
but
ever
that's a direct benefit. I don't know where we're seeing the direct, besides the tax revenue, I guess.
I can't point to the direct benefit. I can point to power generation from this facility onto the NYSE grid.
Yeah,
See, where that comes into play, it could happen, but it doesn't. Avon, York, they've got, Town of Batavia, they've got a lot of the small ones. If that was like Fillmore, Castile, and at one time Mount Morris, didn't they get a kick when they generated power at the bridge there years ago? But I know you're right on
Yeah, we
this.
did years ago. It was a little bad, but it was.
If you told, your power, instead of being 7 cents, was 3.5.
well, right, like,
That's what you're talking
that's a
about.
different, I don't think you're seeing that public outcry as,
No, but
you're gonna,
should.
listen, we're a contractor, I go to public hearings all the time, and I understand, like, no development mentality, I totally get that, but like, if there was a direct if there was any sort of benefit with it being a non-private piece of land, like that, I think would, I don't know, I guess that's just where
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you had a deal on your electric bill. That would be an issue.
I think that's the crux, though, is that the IDA owns the land. And yes, the IDA owns the land. The IDA was approached. The IDA took this to the village. The village knew that this was out in the wings. The village said, okay, they passed a solar law. They put it in play.
yeah.
They knew that this was coming.
Is there a sense that there's village-wide opposition to this project?
There's a sense that there's
12
60 people and, 12 spoke,
I would say that, I would say the general consensus is people don't want this.
but you're getting that from Facebook.
No, I don't even have Facebook. I have a Facebook, but I'm not on Facebook. Just anyone that I've ever heard talk about it it's never a positive.
What do we have in the record?
The law was passed 4-0, Jim, with nobody speaking at the public hearing, that the village held,
So that
unanimous.
the complaint is with the regulatory agency. Not the IDA.
I would agree with that.
The IDA's only role is,
We're going through the process.
I think the complaint is
So
with the
it's really
state.
all it was. The project's been really approved
yeah,
by the village of Dansville.
that's not our.
That's the difference.
One public benefit is, first of all, I think we have an obligation not to stockpile industrial products in these things. It's.
Well, that's why I'm wondering, I'm not saying that we don't, but could you appease, and could there be some sort of appeasement or compromise? What's the implications of listing it for 30 days?
We're under contract already. We've been with this board approved.
I've got 60 acres across the street that if anybody wants to buy, that's out there.
Yeah, that's where I'm just okay, fine, here, if we have another project in 30 days, that's, and if not,
Well, I think we're better off to have another project in 30 days if we make the deal with the county and go over to exit 4. Because we got 1 or 2, and then maybe 3, because the guy from Georgia talked that. Then when we talked to him,
because I understand your position, I'm always on people, don't just come with come with a solution, but I just.
What you'd be denying here is the pilot and the sales tax incentives. The property has been approved for sale. I don't see us backing out of that at all. We're under contract with it. I don't see how you would break that, especially if the company wants it. If we don't approve this structure, I suppose that they could back out of it. But if it's not a big deal.
Could we vote no on this and see if they back out of it, and if not, we come back with more?
What would be the
just
basis?
show-
What would be the basis for voting no? Because you're creating legal implications by voting no. We have certain criteria within which our decisions must be made,
Right, what is that? Is that the question criteria?
pretty much.
And they're mostly no.
No, they're not mostly no.
No, the majority is yes. There were 2 no's,
who
right?
knows?
There's only 2 no's.
The number of jobs, but then you gotta relate to the number of jobs. If you don't look at the site, look at the background of the whole thing. Power truck that's out there, where the power goes to. You know, that all fits into the
Yeah.
plan, the big picture.
Yeah.
It's just like the salt mine. You can say, yeah, they employ 250 people. They employ probably thousands of people. You got people that are, you know, the big thing. And then I don't care from the corner store to the quick fill or whatever, you know, the trucking industry. So it's the big picture that you're looking at.
I mean, our criteria is pretty limited. I mean, if they qualify otherwise, you would be 72 and Article 78, just like the village of Stansville. and zoning
Right,
board of
right, right.
appeals was.
Well, that's why I asked about these questions. I just want to understand, like, if,
Company has already demonstrated a willingness to go to court.
They've done it once.
Yeah, so I mean, I would be concerned. I don't know if they would sue us, but,
They don't put us on notice.
it's in Article 78. As people think about these lawsuits, Article 78, so these granddaughter, a lot of they're pretty short some proceedings. It's basically, did you do it right or wrong? On court hearing, it's over. So they tend to be, if they've done it once, then I would be surprised if they wouldn't do it again. And they would say, basically, you denied us a pilot when they've been granted all over the county.
Yeah. So then we're
And
gonna be,
equal protection as well.
the Article 78 of that's gonna be against us.
Yes.
Because we've done it. We've done it in Avalon, we've done it in York, we've done it in Leicester.
We've never had to face this, but we require a pilot. So then what happens? When you vote no on a pilot?
Well, we just basically say, this is a project that doesn't comply with our criteria.
Okay.
Which would be pretty hard to basically back up, I think, based upon the policies that have been promulgated, one by the state of New York, two by the county of Livingston as well, and secondly by actions that have gone on throughout this county.
Right.
I mean, we would have
A number of occasions.
that's one, and we're under contract, a real estate contract too. So you're asking us to basically back out of that, if we don't have any contingencies which would allow it, which would then,
do we have any contingencies that allow it?
I mean, this stuff was
Have to
vetted out
review it.
months ago.
Yeah, yeah, it actually was
Discussed a long time ago.
gonna be closed.
Yeah,
I
when
know.
was this, the approval of the sale?
We approved the sale,
22,
yeah, probably 22.
2022.
We had both options in front of us as a lease and a sale. We chose to go with sale as opposed to a long-term lease, and we do hold our sale closings out there until they have approval from the village, so that we don't sell the property prematurely. Well, that's
They
why we
wanted
still
to
have it.
close on the property last October. They saw the date and then
Yeah, we didn't wait until we got all this stuff in order too.
And on the horseshoe, not changing the subject here, but they had, and I think in Leicester, all the fence is gonna go 3 feet underground. Because the one owner's already looked at an outfit out of Canada to provide him with lambs, so that the varmints can't dig under. Now, maybe they said that in Danville, I don't know.
I remember it, because it was one of my first planning board, on the county planning board meetings.
And then the other one for horseshoe, they had 2 or 3 beekeepers in there.
Mhm.
And that they were doing this in other areas, because they would seed with seasonal flowers. So there's another thing that brings jobs in.
I'm just reluctant to go down a path which could give rise to litigation that could be avoided.
And it was already alluded to this, but this is an economic development board, we're not adjudicating the land use itself.
We don't have any
Zoning board has already done that. Yep.
I guess I could also feel an obligation to make sure that we provide tax revenues to the jurisdictions whereas we haven't for
Get it back on the.
35 years. It was a charge that was given to me when I got hired. I've said this ad nauseum. I know Maureen's heard it dozens of times. Chairman came to me and said, get our properties back on the tax rolls. And you see what we've been able to do in Mount Morris for him. We're sold out of that park. This is an attempt to get things moving. I will tell you that when people come into town, I know this won't make much of a difference to you, but Armstrong, for example, a good project that we're working with out of Canada, first thing they said is, our vendors want to know how we're being carbon neutral. So how are we doing that? I mean, the railroad kind of came forward and said, we've got a couple of electric engines where we can do switches and that can help you with, I mean, again, it's personal and here's economic development, but when a company wants to know how they can become more carbon neutral and the ways that we can help them do that, that's out there. Looking at a solar project, I again can't guarantee that they're getting the power that's sourced from there, but they can certainly locate across from one. It gives the perception that they are greener. It's just a perception.
I'm ready to call for the resolution.
Right, before we do that, I have one technical question. On the schedule C.
Yes.
I'm just curious, I'm like, a little confused, I think we need to. Shouldn't we have a reflection of the land base and it should be in the schedule as well? So that there's no confusion later on when they basically say, wait,
Maybe just another column.
what the, because right now, it looks like the only obligations to pay whatever's on schedule C or exhibit C here.
Okay, so technical question. The way that real property bills, we prepare the pilot bill, real property will bill for the land, the underlying land tax. So they essentially will receive two bills.
I still think we should
If
put
you-
something in there.
I have no problem putting it on there.
Articulated.
What about as another exhibit?
Sure.
So it's not tied to the pilot.
We tend to define it up top, saying that the
Yeah, we
X
used to.
value being,
That's when the land is part of the pilot. In this case, it's being returned to the tax roll, correct?
yes.
Once they purchase it, it'll return to the tax roll. They'll get a regular tax bill. So we're just making note of that.
We should put something in there because I don't want them coming back next year when they get a bill from the town and county. And
Why is it $6,000 higher than it should be?
Right.
Okay.
The people that are here today for the company may not be the people that are here tomorrow, and they may have a different interpretation. I believe you should have that articulated.
Which will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Erica and I were also chatting over here about including information on that portion share for the jurisdictions rather than just the annual amount.
The breakout.
Yeah. So we have something to point to if there are questions on
Well, that's a
those.
budget night too.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have those schedules. We can easily put this in as an exhibit that breaks it out by village, town, school, county by percentage, which is pro rata. And then adding in the land as well.
The other thing I'm gonna do.
That's a great question.
More clause, the better, I guess.
House is guaranteed. That's my feeling.
I don't
Especially
know.
with the way the laws are changing for them.
So the new law, basically, we have to basically do a comparison against the assessment model as opposed to the pilot
The
schedule.
company will. I mean, we will have an assessment out there, but it's my opinion that the company will look at both and say, is this pilot worth it, or do we just go with full taxes in the assessment? Allowing them to technically terminate the pilot.
And the problem with that is the way the state sets up the assessment model. So I'm sure
It's always could change at any time.
As shown.
there's no certainty. You may want
We, on the larger scale ones, we've set up a piece in pilot and a large portion in host community, so we tend to have done both. From what I'm hearing in Genesee County, they're putting the bulk, if not all of it, into a host too. We haven't looked at one in a while, so. Erica, do you see any issues with putting this into a host as opposed to the pilot and breaking it out pro rata, just like it would be with pilot scheduling?
I don't think so. I think that would prevent some of what we've run into before with some of the tax issues.
Okay.
With the date.
Yep.
Ran into that issue last fall. I'm guessing that all the municipalities, taxing jurisdictions are fine with it.
They're getting the same payment. It's just coming in the form of a host contractually as opposed to a pilot.
So that would be the question for the board today. The resolution is drafted to provide for a pilot, but if they want to make a change here today and vote differently, then we can do an amended resolution.
Well, we'll definitely add land portion to whatever schedule comes out, whether it's a pilot or a host community. So land will be reflected in it.
This, we could actually have a clause in this, this is not reflective of the land assessment levy would be, which is separate. Just so they don't, they're gonna get a separate tax.
Fine. Fine.
So how are the other smaller ones gonna Geneseo have on board? Is that split out into the host? Just like the White Creek and Horseshoe and Mount Morris?
The more recent ones have, yes, early on, a lot of those were original
not.
pilots. Geneseo, I think both Jaycoxes have a host community agreement as piece of it. I'm not sure that the Castanetti one, which is out on 256 across from the Water and Sewer Authority, I think that one was small. I don't think that one had a piece of that, but the newest ones, yes. Since the assessment model was ratified, that's kind of the whole wrench in this thing is all of a sudden somebody was putting a value on these that the state controlled. So we said, time out, you know, if this calls into question the pilot and the formula, let's throw it into the host. There are three separate approvals, Gary. We've got to do the public hearing, we've got to do the compliance, and then the resolution is last.
Okay, I entertain a vote to accept the public hearing. The hearing. Second, all in favor? And you did the final one, resolution, the roll, right?
It will be, yes, yep. Actually, I don't think it has to be, but it probably should be.
But are we saying the new, are we, yeah, are we saying, don't we have to get a new resolution to approve?
I think we can
Or-
amend this one to, if it's gonna be a host community agreement or a pilot agreement, that would be the first question. The second question would be, it's not really a question, it's just adding the language that we can give the attorney direction that says this is not reflective of land value. That would be,
There's no requirement resolution provided by the board to draft.
Oh.
I'll tell you that, depending on what the board decides to pay.
not much in it is gonna change other than to add those two things.
It's just provided typically to streamline things and make it a bit easier.
Okay, so the next motion is the statement of compliance. And entertain a motion to that.
So.
Second. All in favor?
I,
Okay, so now we get down to authorizing the resolution. There is a spot on the last page. So should we roll all this?
That one's the American Rock Salt.
Oh, yeah.
We got the other one. It's in that package. I would say a roll. Yeah. I think
But I think we need someone to come forward with a motion to
first, yes.
introduce what the board's going to
Yeah.
have.
Okay, entertain that motion. We roll.
No, motion
First,
to
make the
motion, we go for a host agreement.
Host
host
agreement.
community versus pilot.
So we'll shift that from a pilot to a host with the exact same terms at 5,500 a megawatt to be divided pro rata amongst the taxing authorities. Land to be separately taxed by those authorities as per the valuation of the property, the underlying valuation of the property. Did I get all that?
yeah, that's close.
Okay.
You got that motion by Dave, second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now you gotta do the resolution itself, which is the roll call.
May they take the motion to authorize the resolution? Aye. Second,
And
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You wanna roll it, Gary?
Did you want to roll it?
Yeah.
Okay, I vote aye.
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 So this is approval of the resolution, or
Right.
no?
Aye.
Sorry, I got caught up in what we were motioning.
A lot of moving parts.
They are-
A lot of moving parts. Okay, motion passes. Okay, great, thank you. A lot going on with that one. 5 years.
Okay, Project Electro.
Project Allegro, I'm going to, instead of doing an inducement, I'm gonna actually request a special meeting later on this month. I can't give you the date because I'm not sure when it's gonna be based on my publication. I've gotta give it 10 days. So whenever I can get it published. What this is some of you already probably know the underlying story behind Project Allegro. It hasn't been released yet publicly. The state will want to make a firm press release. I don't want to supersede it by putting a name out there today with an inducement when they're not gonna like that. So the special meeting will actually be pretty quick. I'm gonna ask you to induce the application for benefits for Project Allegro, which again, I think I've already reported to you that they've chosen Livingston County for an expansion and
Should we go to the bottom and do that executive session? Mary Ellen leaves and then.
yeah, we can, sure.
Give that,
I don't need any action on the inducement and the FOIL discussion. Do we need any action on that though?
Just a decision, but do we go to county or do we create our own? That's the question.
Okay, well, we still got a quorum for that, so we're good. We're
I have
good.
no strong opinions about.
Oh, yeah. We do, but that's okay. Yeah, let's go to executive session then.
and take a motion to go into executive session. Motion. Second, all in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Everybody remain?
Yes. Yep, we're good.
Okay, we come out of executive session. Want to entertain motions for the director to continue the negotiations with Liberty Salt. With that motion?
Second, I'll make a motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. Project Allegro, were you comfortable with that? I'm just coming back to you with an inducement resolution, so I just want to close the loop on that. I have a feeling it's going to start to hit public probably in another 2 weeks. So within the next 2 weeks. So we'll be ready to roll with you by a special meeting for that.
Do you have a public hearing already set?
No, I
Oh,
don't.
you're going to.
We're going, I'm not sure, when you get on the LCN site, it kind of tells you the date that your publication is going to be there, and then you have to do the math back 10 days. So,
They changed all that. It's tough.
you know, it's like way out.
You gotta give yourself an extra 2 weeks almost. because
I'll
they-
go up today and it won't make a publication until the middle of the month. And then I got 10 days from the middle of the month. So I'm looking at probably in the high 20s and honestly, it's gonna be quick because you'll have the application, you'll have the inducement resolution, and we'll just be asking for you to kick it. We were trying to figure out a way yesterday to do it without having the inducement in hand, and we just couldn't come up with
Yeah,
it.
the law expressly requires, give the applicant's name.
We appreciate you trying.
Yeah, we looked at it a couple different ways.
Special meeting was the best we came up with.
So you want to go ahead with a resolution to set the public hearing?
I'm gonna call a special meeting and then we'll be able to set the hearing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. I was hoping to set the hearing today, but that's what we struck out on.
Oil policy.
Oil policy, so I'm trying to stay up with ABM. They require that a oil policy be posted out to the website and be part of our policies. I just had a question. There is one for the county. I think historically we've gone with that. And I did find an old one that we had for the idea itself. I just need a decision on, do we want to continue working with the oil policy of the county? Or do we go back to our own post out there? Bill is the contact for any FOIL requests that's out there, that's fine, but we just don't have a policy posted.
I would just stay with the county.
That's what we've been there before.
Do we kind of name Bill as a FOIL person, and as an officer?
That's what I've been before, so
I didn't know if we gotta rename it. If you are,
we got one.
Right.
It's a lifetime here, yeah.
Okay,
tell you what the reassessment, did you get the call
No,
regarding the Mount Morris? They were gonna tie you in on it. Yeah, so just get ready.
okay. Change that to William Waterhouse on the FOIL.
building on something.
Other William, please.
Well, most of the towns follow counties too, pretty much.
State finance.
You remember back in the Ash Project days, Jim, we were like water coming in.
What's the difference with the IDA policy? Just was looking,
I didn't look at what the difference was.
Between the two, it's just,
then let's stick with the county. That's the one we've been using. It seems to work. Some updates. So I'm working with legislators, mostly on the Fed side lately. Allison Barkowski from Claudia Tenney's office and Chris Zeltman from Senator Schumer's office. Got a couple of different things that we're working on. I did put in a congressional district spending request to help us hopefully resolve the LMC Dansville Airport issue. The current resolution is what they call a displaced threshold, which shortens the runway from one direction, which is the LMC side of things, which basically says you pull it back far enough so that the height requirement that they have for the cranes, there's enough of that per FAA policy or FAA standards, whatever. So you've got 2,500 if you go over, if you take off over LMC or you land over LMC. From the other direction, interestingly, if you take off to the east, you've got 3,500 feet. So you can go back to the origination of the runway to go that direction. Typically, it's prevailing winds that help you determine which way to take off. But you're talking about these small engine planes that usually only need like 1,000 feet anyway. So I don't think it's going to matter. The pilots are on board, the town's on board, LMC's on board, everybody on board. So we're pursuing, I think it's $170,000 in funding from Schumer's office to assist with that. Chrissy grant. Sorry, don't ask me what it stands for, but it's a transportation grant that works with rail. I'm doing some preliminary legwork on that. I do have a rail project that is associated with Allegro that I'm just digging into. And then the last one is, what's the other one? Oh, this one isn't federal, it's state. It's the county infrastructure grant program for DePaul to do some housing. It's infrastructure. It's $1 million on a $2 million project, $2.1 million project for housing in Dansville. Project's already approved.
Like low income housing, like, wow.
Portable. So yes, it would be a what do they call them? A floating rate structure. Probably a better word for that, but based on income, it helps to define rate.
Okay.
Rent.
But new build.
Well, it is a renovation of an existing facility that they bought from the county through tax foreclosure. I don't know how many years ago, a couple.
What was it, the old King's?
King's Daughters facility, yeah,
Oh.
that one's gonna be 12 senior apartments, and then there's 48 new right across from Tops.
Oh.
Down here.
Yeah.
Just for the board's information, tell them how many planes come out of there a day.
Well, I don't know if I have per day, but I kind of have per week, it's like 4 to 6 a week.
46 a week. And LMC has probably got, how much work out there?
400 employees, they've got 100 million in backlog today, they've got another 150 that they're bidding for this I-87 project. And I think there's another 100 out there that's just up for grabs, but there's work to keep them going through 2030, 2031. Really significant impact. So, and they bring in the raw steel by rail. That's why they need the cranes. Just no two ways about it. Moving the cranes really changes the whole thing logistically, increases the cost and makes them less competitive.
So LMC, town, and the airport are in agreement.
We'll see out loud, but yes, I did say
He
that.
said everybody.
At this point, the displaced threshold is the solution. So it's 6 months. FAA has said, yep, 6 months. Let's just put it out there so that we can get back to work. And I think May 15th was like a looming deadline that was coming up, 13th, 15th, something like that, that said, you need to extend this right to remedy. It's given them the season, the construction season, to do the work they've got to do. Ongoing meetings between now and November will determine, I think, more of the future.
Okay, if there's no other questions or discussions, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Second? Second. All in favor?
Thank you.
Now we'll open the Livingston County Development Corporation.
Well, that's,
Oh, we got